So to be the first of anything in hockey, you have to be a trivia question, walking and talking. Here's the biggest trivia question of the night. Who was the first player signed to the WHA? Was it Gordie Howe? No. Was it J.C. Tremblay? No. Was it Davy Keon? No. This player ended up playing a number of seasons at WHA after being part of the Montreal Junior Canadiens program. Playing the minors for a number of years, and despite expansion, the NHL didn't get called up to the big leagues. But when Steve Sutherland was signed by the LA Sharks, the original Sharks, not the San Jose Sharks, we knew there was going to be a change in his career. Now, Steve Sutherland's signing with the WHA changed the pace of the league in a number of ways, because Steve had toughness and goal-scoring ability that was well respected. Now, a native of Noranda, Quebec, Noranda, one of the nicest communities in all of the Belle Province, he was teammates with the junior Canadiens with such skaters as Jules Drouin, Larry Plot, Robin Burns, and Pierre Bouchard. Now, with the 67 NHL draft eligible, despite the arrival of 6 new teams, he did not attract enough attention and was ignored in the draft. Big mistake. However, he ended up with the Memphis South Stars, a Central League club affiliated with the Minnesota North Stars. He was also aligned with Des Moines and Port Huron of the International Hockey League, and also won the Turner Cup in 71 with Port Huron. Now, when the formation of the WHA was announced in 72, Sutherland had a perfect profile for the new league. He was playing for a club affiliated with the Red Wings, but he never played a single game in the NHL, and to many had little hope of doing so. For a minor league player like him, the WHA offered attractive salaries. Again, he was the first to sign with the cursed circuit, in his case with the Sharks. This team was then owned by Dennis Murphy, who was also one of the founders of the new league. Now, Sutherland's noted rugged style fitted well with that advocated by head coach Terry Slater. His teammates included Ted McCaskill, the inspiration behind the character of Surgeon Tim McCracken in award-winning movie Slapshot. The Shark squad played for just over 500% on the ice in advance of the playoffs, but didn't get to the WHA final round. The following year, the Sharks allegedly offered Mark Tardif $450,000 for 3 years. It could have been more or less to get him out of Montreal individually. Tardif responded well, but defensively the team allowed many more goals and finished last in the standings. For his part, Sutherland continued in his rugged vein, accumulating 189 minutes in penalties, which was a high for the Sharks and the 6th highest total in the association. That year he also scored 20 goals. Now, in contrast, crowds were low in LA, which had only 5,338 spectators per game, which eventually led the team's owners to move to Detroit to become the Michigan Stags. However, the move didn't help. In fact, the crowds in Detroit were even lower, averaging less than 3,000 spectators per contest. Thus, in order to get rid of Tardif's big contract, the Stags then sent him to the Nordiques with Sutherland in return for Alain Caron, Pierre Guité, and Michel Rouleau. The Stags disappeared a month later and ended the season as the Baltimore Blades before being wiped off the map for good. During the same period, Quebec also acquired Sutherland's former junior teammate, the great Christian Bordelot. Now, once in Quebec, the serious Sutherland continued to play his robust style of hockey. On the other hand, within a more offensive and scientific team, he still had to modify his game a little. His arrival and that of Tardif and Bordelot helped the Fleur-de-Lis to reach the final for the first time in 75, but it was swept away by the Houston Aeros of Gordie Howe. Now, in the 76 season, Sutherland scored 22 goals in an increasingly dangerous league. On the NHL side, of course, it was the years of the Flyers' reign at Terra, and the WHA was having some massive problems on the ice. The Nordiques could count on Sutherland, Pierre Roy, and Gordie Gallant, and also Alan Globensky, but the fact remains that their season was especially marked by the savage aggression of Rick Giorgio on Mark Tardif. It was only postponed, however, as the following year, Quebec won the Avco Cup, even though Sutherland's season was limited to 36 games. Now, Giorgio, playing for Calgary at the time, almost killed Tardif on the ice in the playoff contest, still ranks one of the most disgusting moments in WHA history. Now, in 78, Sutherland surpassed his personal mark by scoring 23 goals. However, it was his last season with the Nords, as in the summer of '78 he was claimed by the Stingers, but he never played for them. Now, Sutherland's efforts off the ice also need mentioning. He and teammate Charles Constantine had a very good approach with their hockey money they were making. He had been a pioneer of training constantly and was in great physical condition, which of course was not the case for every player at the time. Now, Sutherland and Constantine therefore decided to combine their two passions by going into business together. Now, the Nautilus concept was first developed in the States in the 1940s by Arthur Jones, but it wasn't until 1970 that it really took the market by storm. Following their hockey careers, Sutherland and Constantine decided to import the Nautilus concept to Quebec. They first opened their first centers, then expanded and took advantage of their knowledge of the environment to establish partnerships with the Canadians, the Nordiques, and other elite athletes. They also incorporated other sports, such as tennis and racquetball, into their concept. Now, in 1986, when the company had 18 Nautilus Plus locations and 2 Gold's gyms, they reported revenues of $10.2 million and allowed them to go public. Now, in '87, with Sutherland still president and Constantine vice president, Nautilus entered the Ontario market. The company also refined its equipment by introducing the VO2 Max concept. A better designed product, supported by a network of centers, enabled Nautilus to resist better in a market that was not always easy than its competitors, who were often less well structured. Now, with revenues over $20 million, they also made an offer in '89 to close the capital of Nautilus and take it off the stock market. Now, Sutherland, the time he played with the Nordiques, the Avco Cup winners as well, it wasn't like, say, they were pure, what you call enforcers or protectors. But what happened with Josio, with the Mark Tardif situation, you had other key players that Quebec needed protected, J.C. Tremblay, Réjean Houle. So Globinski, Sutherland, all other key players, if something happened, they would take the stress on their back and allow their more skilled opponents to have better ice time, you know. But the WHA from '75 to the height of the Flyers to about '77 to '78 before Gretzky arrived, it could get kind of dirty, and you see a lot of the incidents increasing. But the skill level by the time the league started to weaken was getting a lot better. But the idea of Sutherland as well, not getting drafted and basically being the minors all those years and finally having opportunity in LA of all places, it's a success story that, again, there's in Alan Globinski's book, which has been published for the U.S. market in recent years. You can read a little bit more about it. We're working with Alan as well with our NB Authors Association to get the French edition of the book published, and hopefully that'll give a better indication of the importance of Steve and other WHA key players in the 1970s major leagues and all the major cities of the WHA universe. So that's the legend of the great Steve Sutherland, the second part, because the first part we just talked just the bare bones. This is a second tribute by request, of course. If you like what we're doing here with our podcast, give us a like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget, if you use Nautilus in Quebec, in Ontario, and Nautilus in Quebec and Ontario back in the day, you can thank Steve Sutherland. What a career on and off the ice. Thanks for listening. Bye.